The point of this story for my Seventh-day Adventist upbringing was that when he got to Daniel, he started sorting out the prophecies there, especially the 2300-day prophecy, and arrived at the conclusion that Jesus would come back in 1843. When Jesus didn't come in 1843, there was a crisis and a recalculation and a decision that 1844 was the better date. When Jesus didn't come on October 22, 1844, the crisis of faith and knowledge that resulted was known as the Great Disappointment. One response to that disappointment was a reformulation of theology that spawned the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Contemporaries of William Miller noted that he had been hesitant to call his predictions demonstrated facts, and that he always used words like probably when discussing what he considered to be the most reliable conclusions based on his careful study. For White and for her fellow Adventists, especially those who came to form the Seventh-day Adventists, being right and precise about prophecy, about the truth of Daniel and Revelation, and the coming of Jesus was important. But they were incorrect about some things. And everyone knew how wrong they had all been. They lost a great deal of truth credibility. They were made fun of and literally persecuted in their communities. It was humbling and upsetting to be so very, very mistaken.
Our church had an awkward beginning, didn't it? Oh my goodness. We grew out of a movement that was dead wrong about lots and lots of things. We had to walk away from those other churches with our tail in between our legs. Oh, embarrassing. Yet out of that great disappointment and gross error grew a people devoted to voraciously studying the Bible.
This disappointment, this being mistaken, being wrong about something, wasn't the end of the story for this community of believers. What comforted them, what helped them heal, helped them move forward, was coming together in the body of Christ, confessing their grief, their anxiety, their mistakes together in the gathering of the saints. This was the starting place. It wasn't, in fact, sadly, the last time they would have to say they'd made an error. Even this very gathering and comforting of each other and loving Jesus as the bridegroom and promising to continue to wait for him prompted some to say that it was too late for anyone else to claim Jesus as their bridegroom. The parable was so real for them, and they identified so much with the 5 virgins who were waiting behind the closed door for the wedding party, that they started to see everyone who was not gathered with them as outcast. This became known as the shut door theology. Out of their pain and group unity and passion for Jesus came a sense of exclusivity.
Uriah Smith, he had been the editor of the Adventist Review basically for 30 years, since 1955. For some time, he'd been also the secretary of the church. He was an authority on prophecy. In 1888, he published this statement in the Review as a reaction to what Jones and Wagner were saying. He said, "Adventists have never taken a stand upon Bible exegesis, which they have been compelled to surrender." Really? 1844? Thank you, Lisa, for bringing up the shut door theology. The Arianist heresy, look it up. Keeping the law saves us, etc., etc.